Lomachenko is back. That's right, Vasyl the Matrix Lomachenko, after 2 years of being retired, has returned to boxing. We're going to talk about why he's back, who he's going to be fighting. Maybe it's Tank Davis, maybe it's Shakur Stevenson. We're going to get into that. But first, remember, like, rate, subscribe, comment who you think he should fight. Let me know. So, one of my favorite all-time boxers, Vasyl Lomachenko, has returned after a 2-year retirement. In his last fight, he beat George Kambosos to win a title. The last few years of his career were a little weird because of the war in Ukraine. He gave up time as a fighter to go fight for his country. And right before that, he was absolutely robbed in the Devin Haney fight, and I will never stop saying that. It was ridiculous. He destroyed Devin Haney. He won 8 of those rounds, minimum. So now the question is, why is he back? Who is he going to fight? Well, he's not back for small fights. I believe he's going to get right into a big fight. I think he's 38 years old. He doesn't have time for tune-ups. And there's really only 2 guys I see him going after, and that is Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson. First, for all you Tank Davis fans who say Loma ducked Tank. Tank is the biggest ducker in the history of boxing. Just because Tank Davis, once he saw Lomachenko was old, after ducking him for half a decade, said that he would fight him, doesn't mean he didn't duck him for half a decade. This is a real quote from Tank Davis. Why would I fight Lomachenko? I can make just as much money fighting guys a lot worse than Lomachenko that I know I can beat. That is the literal definition of a duck. He admitted he was ducking him, and yet you people still defend him. He ducks everyone. He's ducked Shakur. He had only 1 belt in his loaded division. 3 other champions. The entire 7 years he was in that division. He never fought a single one of them. And I think prime for prime, Lomachenko absolutely dog walks Tank Davis. Now, it's a more interesting fight. Now, Lomachenko, he's slowed down a lot, even in his last fight, which was almost 2 years ago. He doesn't have the same movement, and 135 is honestly out of his weight class. He was the best at 122, maybe the best 122 fighter I've ever seen. He was really good at 126, but once he started getting those 130s, he started being beatable. That's how Tio got him. That's how Devin Haney kind of got him. Though we all know that Devin Haney lost that fight. And I'm not even a Devin Haney hater, but he lost that fight. At the very least, it was a draw. So yeah, I think now Lomachenko versus Tank is a much more interesting, much closer fight than it's ever been, and I really hope that's the one. But who knows if Tank Davis ever even fights again. Every time he tries to fight, he can't stop beating women, so the fight gets canceled. He's ducking Lamont Roach. Is he going to duck Lamont Roach to fight Lomachenko? Also, once again, Lamont Roach beat Tank Davis. So anyway, I'm not going to make a prediction for that fight now. I think it's a close, interesting fight. I really hope that's the fight, but I think far more likely the next fight we're going to talk about is Shakur Stevenson. Will Lomachenko fight Shakur? Is Lomachenko coming out of retirement for Shakur Stevenson? I think it makes a lot of sense. One of the reasons he's coming out of retirement now is I think he wanted to get out of his top rank deal. It ends today, and we've been hearing that Shakur Stevenson will be signing with Zuffa Boxing. So that allows Lomachenko to then sign for Zuffa Boxing, creating their first really big mega fight. It's a very interesting fight to me. I think Shakur Stevenson is a little bigger than Loma. He's out of his weight class there. They're both arguably the most skilled fighters of the past 10 years. Lomachenko and Shakur are arguably the most skilled fighters since Floyd Mayweather retired. Just pure skill. This is like a boxing snob's dream. Like the absolute slick defense of the young Shakur Stevenson with the veteran know-how of Vasyl Lomachenko, who has the greatest footwork of all time. Lomachenko is a lot more offensive focused, while Shakur Stevenson is more defensive focused, but I don't think he'd be able to pick him apart the way he was able to do with Teofimo. And I know Teofimo beat Loma, and then Shakur wiped the floor with Teofimo, so you'd be thinking, okay, maybe Shakur can wipe the floor with especially an older Lomachenko, but that's just not how boxing works. Styles make fights, and I think Lomachenko's style is a lot more effective against a Shakur Stevenson than a Teofimo Lopez's is, and transversely, Teofimo Lopez's style a lot more effective against a Lomachenko than a Shakur Stevenson's would be. I think the Tank Davis, I think that's a much more barn burner of a fight. I would lean Shakur Stevenson just because of the rust and the age. I don't know who wins this in their prime. I'd lean Loma, but Loma's one of my favorite boxers of all time. So I'm going to lean him in a 50-50 fight. But at this point, Lomachenko at 38 years old, coming off of 2 years rest, way out of his original weight class. Shakur Stevenson in probably his best weight class. If they fight at 140, 135, it's a little different. At the exact prime of his life, in his athletic prime, coming off the biggest win of his career, I would probably lean Shakur Stevenson at this point, although I think it would be a much closer fight than many would believe. What do you guys think? Who would win? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to let me know in the comments who you think would win. And just some other options for Lomachenko to fight. Maybe he comes back. Maybe he has a tune-up fight. Maybe he has a tune-up fight like a fringe, maybe like a fringe top 10-ish guy, just to get everything going before he moves into the Shakurs and the Tanks. Maybe it's a rematch against Teofimo Lopez, although I doubt it now that Teofimo's moving up to 147. Same reason I would have loved a Haney rematch, because I think Lomachenko beat him. But I don't think we're going to be getting that anytime soon. So I really think those two options are the main ones. Well, it's really three options. It's a fringe top 10 guy in the 130, 135 weight class. And then a Shakur Stevenson Tank Davis fight. I really don't see him coming back for any other reason. So it's either he goes straight into those fights or tune-up fight and then those two fights. And then one of those two fights. I really doubt he does both of them. But who knows? I'm just glad to have Lomachenko back. What do you guys think? Let me know who you want him to fight. Who you think wins that fight. Let me know in the comments. Like, rate, subscribe. Thank you for watching.